know what it's all about. The books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, Misfits, Magic, and in the authorship success, and the author of the book, Stealing from Wizards, and other than Mr. Ryan Consell. Welcome, Mr. Ryan, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. Yep, my name is Ryan Consell. I am an author and university instructor in the Great White North up in Canada. Um, I live near Toronto. I teach programming and writing and circuits, and my cat has decided it is time to play. um,
We welcome you,
and
Cat.
I and in as much free time as I have, I write whimsical children's novels about wizard kids going to school and doing crimes.
Interesting. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Ryan. So let's talk about the title itself. Is Stealing from the Wizard sets up a fantastic underdog story. In a world where people can cast spells, what makes a mere pickpocket not only to brave enough but also capable enough to successfully rob them?
Oh, sorry, little hiccup there on the audio. I missed the end there.
Well, I will repeat, no worries. Mr. Ryan, Stealing from the Wizard sets up a fantastic underdog story. In a world where people can cast spells, what makes a mere pickpocket not only brave enough, but also capable enough to successfully rob them?
By the main character, Kuro, young 12-year-old pickpocket at the beginning of the story. And what he would argue is that what makes him good enough is only that he tried. Um, and that through patience and perseverance, he's able to steal enough to survive. But those skills are entirely useless when he does get caught and sent to wizard school, and is then a complete misfit among, for the most part, rich and powerful and talented wizard kids, where all of his skills rely on being small and cowardly and quiet and taking things that don't belong to him. And a lot of the stories are about sort of finding other misfits and finding family and finding community when you're not the biggest and bravest and strongest and best, and finding success despite having not the skills that your society celebrates.
Yes, indeed. And what does the criminal underworld look like in a society filled with magical securities, spraying or spraying spells and truth serums? What unique challenges and opportunities does magic present for thieves?
So it obviously presents a great number of challenges. But one of the sort of running themes through the books is that wizards are a bit too arrogant to believe that they can be robbed by somebody without great skill and talent and magic. And that leaves opportunities for the quiet and clever to take advantage of the arrogance of wizards and steal things straight out of their pockets, because they might have put up magical wards and complicated spells to protect themselves from other wizards and magic, but they fail to imagine somebody just sneaking up and putting their hand in their pocket and taking a thing.
Yes, interesting. Mr. Ryan, are there unspoken rules or a code of honor among those who steal from the magically powerful? What constitutes fair game? Forget versus a forbidden one.
So I think much like many criminal underworlds, there is a code of conduct, but not so much a code of honor. And our main character is taken out of that criminal world and isn't really allowed to interact with it. He understands it, but he was too young to be a proper, like, organized criminal. He spent most of his time hiding and watching. And so did learn those, I guess, the honor amongst thieves, where you don't steal from a thief, like you don't steal from what another thief is already stealing from. You don't ruin somebody else's robbery. um if you see somebody casing a house, you walk the other way. You don't ruin somebody's mark. And he does carry those ideas through the series and through to school, where that culture doesn't exist and he doesn't quite understand how to play the game of being a student, when what he knows is the rules of being a thief and the best practices, and not ratting people out to the police is deeply ingrained in him, where students are all the time ratting each other out to teachers.
Mr. Ryan, tell us, what is the dynamic between those born with magical ability and those who rely solely on their wits and, well, magic? Is there a class or social divide that your protagonist has to navigate?
Absolutely. So there are several social divides and class divides playing out in the wizard world in Stealing from Wizards. There are wizards, people who have access to magic and can cast magical spells, and they have put themselves solidly at the top of the class hierarchy by being able to blow things up with their minds. Then below them, uh, there is what they call strays, people who have been able to move into the magical world from our bland, boring, magic free world, but can't themselves cast magic. And then there are the blandlanders, people who are trapped in our mundane, ordinary world that you and I currently live in. And Kuro sort of floats between the wizards and the strays. He is magical to a degree, but he is a grossly incompetent wizard. He's not good at doing magic. He doesn't have any of the background and the training to be good at it. And he just thinks differently than ordinary wizards, largely due to his upbringing. And so he sort of doesn't belong in either world.
Hmm, not belong to either world. Well, Mr. Ryan, on the protagonist and their journey, what drives your main character to take such incredible risks? Is it mere survival, a thirst of thrill, or a personal grudge, or something else entirely?
So initially, it's absolutely survival. Kuro starts off just trying to eke out a living and survive day to day. As the story progresses, he moves on to make friends and have people he cares about enough to overcome his natural cowardice and take risks to protect and save them. And that's sort of
Hmm.
the arc of the character, is being is finding uh, a community that he cares enough about to risk himself to protect.
Beyond just quick hand, Mr. Ryan, what unique skills, gadgets, or knowledge does Pickpocket need to develop to bypass magical words, confuse familiar, or avoid detection spells?
So the big ones are patience and being observant. I think we mentioned earlier is that wizards are arrogant. They have great magical power, but that makes them presume that the only threat against them is other wizards. And so the for a thief who doesn't have particularly great magical power, really all he is quick and quiet and observant. Um, how he overcomes wizards is by paying attention, by looking for opportunities and gaps and places that they haven't thought of defending and avenues they haven't considered someone so small and weak being able to exploit, and then exploiting those opportunities.
The best laid plans often go awry. Without giving too much away, what was the most fun complication to write when meticulously planned theft suddenly spiral out of control?
Oh my goodness. I think the most fun to write may not have been the thefts going hideously out of control. It's when Kuro is forced to do things that are not his within his skill set. He's good at stealing things. He's very bad at interacting with other people. So attempting to navigate children his own age without stealing anything and just trying to pretend to be a normal person was always fun. There was delight and whimsy, and those are the places where things tended to go terribly wrong for him.
Yes. Interesting, Mr. Ryan. How does your protagonist justify their action? Do they see themselves as a criminal, a rebel, or a Robin Hood figure taking from the magical arrogant?
He justifies his actions mostly early on as a matter of survival. He has to eat, he has to have somewhere warm to sleep, he has to survive, and thus stealing from people who have stuff and eating that seems fine to him. Um, there's also the fact that wizards are incredibly powerful and can get and make whatever they want. And so he doesn't really feel bad about taking things from people who have everything, and doesn't work very hard to justify that. It's much later on in the series when he starts to actually consider wizards to be people that maybe he shouldn't steal from. Um, at the same time, he's very reluctant to steal from the people who don't have the wizardly power. He's not stealing from the strays, um, and the other impoverished people. He really is mostly just grabbing things from wizards whenever possible.
Mr. Ryan on the antagonist and the stakes. What is the white whale for a thief in this world? Is it a specific magical artifact, a secret, a simplified the sheer prestige of pulling off an impossible heist?
So it's almost the opposite, that the white whale for Kuro is to stop being a thief, to get out of the life of thief, that all he's known and all of his skills are stealing and hiding. But what he'd like is to be safe and comfortable and not have to steal anymore and not have to run and hide anymore. And things keep preventing him from doing that. His former master, who may forced him into the life of being a thief, returns and drags him back into that life for a while, and he has to escape from there. Um, and his friends get dragged into problems, and he has to go use those skills from his life as a thief to protect them and rescue them, despite his desire to just stay somewhere warm and cozy and eat cookies.
What type of the wizard is the most formidable or clever target for a thief, Mr. Ryan? Is it paranoid enhancer with a layer wards or powerful battle mage with release on brute force?
Uh, the most difficult target is a wizard who is paying attention, and the ones who don't underestimate non-wizards. So the ones that he runs into early in the book that causes the problem is effectively wizard police. That they're called hounds in the series, and there's a particular hound that does not underestimate Kuro, and that is how Kuro gets arrested and caught and forced into school. And when he tries to get away, gets caught and sent back. And it's not that that wizard is especially powerful; it's that that wizard sees Kuro for who and what he is, and is able to capture him and return him, despite Kuro not wanting to.
Well, Mr. Ryan, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
So my short-term goal is to take some naps. I just released the fourth book in this series. It's taken me 8 years from inception to completion, and I am tired. So I'm gonna take an intentional bit of a break before I put pen to paper again with whatever comes next. Um, I do have a couple of standalone novels sort of rolling around in my head. We'll see where those come in a year or so when I'm ready to start writing again. But my immediate goals are to just let this series out into the world. Arson has had an incredible reception already. It's been really great. I've been getting a lot of wonderful feedback from fans, which is incredible. So I'm just going to kind of wallow in that glory for a little bit before I move on to anything else.
Yes, and good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success while you're napping, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you.
And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
People who want to be like me, that's a terrible idea. Um, I think piece of advice if somebody wants to be a writer like me is start writing and share not your best work. So one of the things that to be a great writer, you need to take critique and criticism from a lot of different sources, and having some practice at that before you put out your like the thing that you put your heart and your soul into can really help, because critique can be difficult to take, especially if you care very deeply about your work. And so having some practice by sharing maybe your mediocre work or things that you know are flawed and could be better has served me really well in improving my craft and being more ready to take the hard critique on the things I really care about when I needed that.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Ryan. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh, books that influenced my journey. Many and myriad. Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide, and Terry Pratchett's Discworld were really big influences. Um, uh, oh, things like the collections of folklore, so like Grimm's fairy tales and Kwaidan from Japan, and the poetic Edda from North mythology were really big influences. Um, and of course, some of the other Wizard School books, Wizard of Earthsea and Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, um, and those all various influences that sort of drove this series.
Well, thank you for that recommended books, Mr. Ryan. And tell us, is there a particular sequence, a chase, a theft, or character moment that you're most excited for readers to experience?
So in every one of the books, all four of them, there is a holiday celebration, and that's every one of them is sort of a little solstice Christmas episode in each book, which delights me every time people get to them because they're sort of heartwarming and there's also an emotional punch in each. And I really hope everybody just sort of delights in those moments.
Delights indeed. This fantasy genre is rich with tropes. Which one did you most enjoy twisting and subverting through the lens of a criminal underdog?
Uh, so I think the one that I enjoyed the most is subverting the idea of the honestly the underdog, the starting at the bottom and rising to the top, rather than our hero starting at the bottom and rising to the top. He's a misfit through and through. So rather than becoming the powerful warrior to defeat the wizards, he remains a quiet thief whose skills are running away and being clever. Um, and he stays true to that through and through and never getting into a battle or a fight and winning through violence. He always wins through cleverness and guile and generally theft and flight.
Well, interesting, Mr. Ryan. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and food 101 in sixth season, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are fourth season, sex 101, science 101 are in second season, and my baby podcast Law 101, Mental Health 101, Bible Verses 101, and coming this December, Entrepreneur 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Ryan, if you had to entice a new reader with just one line about the wildest thing you protagonist steals in this book, what would it be?
Excalibur. The
King Arthur.
Absolutely the legendary sword of King Arthur and the kings of Camelot. He steals it for excellent reasons.
Excellent. Oh, interesting. And for sure, people will read your book to know what is that. And Mr. Ryan, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books? And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom through your books.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, yes, all four books are available out now on ebook on almost any platform you can imagine. You can get the paperbacks and hardcovers through Amazon and the first three through your local bookstore if you order them there. The audiobook for the first three is currently free and available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to contact me, you can find me on Blue Sky at stealingfromwizards.com and Instagram and TikTok at Student of Whim.
Yes, people are support Mr. Ryan Consell because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Ryan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me, Daniel.
Monica people, see you soon.